I saw, which was the first movie I saw on that day, was Silver Linings Playbook, which you, Andy, said you had no interest in seeing.
The trailer for this film is atrocious. It plays like a romantic comedy between Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence with Robert De Niro in there for some reason. And literally the only reason you would see this movie based on the trailer is if you just love those actors and will literally see anything they were in.
Yeah. Don't watch the trailer if you haven't. It doesn't do this movie justice at all. And I hadn't actually seen much marketing for the movie. I just sort of been hearing about what people thought of it. I did go back and watch the trailer, and it's it's very odd. I had another person tell me that he thought it was a love story between two autistic people, which it isn't.
Yeah,
not even close. Basically, when to boil it down, Bradley Cooper is bipolar. And the reason why he's bipolar is because he had an event that happened in his life that basically caused him to go a little bit crazy. And so then they sort of discover that there are certain triggers that he has that sort of trigger this bipolar aspect of his life. So the movie opens with him in rehab and him getting out of rehab and his mom sort of picking him up, taking him home, where his father, played by Robert De Niro, is this very... Eagles. It's based in Philadelphia, so he's a Philadelphia Eagles super fan.
That was the other aspect of the trailer that baffled me. I was like, why are there scenes of people in football gear cheering? What is it about this film that is required here?
Basically, he is this big Eagles super fan, and he is a bookkeeper. So he's betting on basically all the Eagles games, and that's how he's decided to make a living because he's lost his job. And so that plays a really big aspect of it. And he's very superstitious. So when Bradley Cooper comes home, he's like, oh, you have to sit here and watch this game with me because you're good juju. You need to hold the remote in this handkerchief and watch these games with me. And it's a very eclectic role for Robert De Niro. And he really does the best he can with it. And I think out of sort of the supporting characters, he really is sort of the thread that keeps the story together. Jackie Weaver, basically everybody, Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Jackie Weaver, who plays his mother, and Robert De Niro all got nominated for their roles. I think out of all of them, Jackie Weaver probably didn't deserve it. She plays the mother, and she doesn't really do, honestly, a ton. She's done a lot of other great stuff in the past, stuff that she's kind of gotten skipped over nominations-wise. So I'm wondering if this is maybe a little bit political for her. I would actually have put Judi Dench in that slot because I thought Judi Dench did a fantastic job in Skyfall. And we've talked about that before. Obviously, we've talked about that with you too. So, there's a bunch of different triangles. Jennifer Lawrence, her character is also got. Some would say she's even crazier than Bradley Cooper's character, and they come together and collide in this very poetic kind of way. It's kind of hard to describe without giving much of it away. It also has Chris Tucker, who you would just he comes out of nowhere. You're like, that's Chris Tucker. It's it's hard for me to not think of Chris Tucker and immediately think of not Rush Hour, mind you.
Fifth Element.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say Jackie Brown.
And that too, yes, exactly. So it's he plays these bigger than life characters, but in this one he actually just plays a normal guy, and it's very weird. I mean, he's obviously got problems of his own because you find him in the rehab place, but it's just sort of whoa, but it works. Julia Stiles is also in it, which again, you haven't really seen her in much lately, other than maybe Dexter.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other people that you'll immediately recognize. So basically, it's the story between Bradley Cooper trying to come to terms with what caused him to go into rehab, which I won't even actually get into because that whole aspect is really interesting. Sort of his relationship with his parents, because that's sort of on thin ice. And then his relationship with Jennifer Lawrence, this character. So you've got all these stories sort of interweaving and breaking and then mending again and breaking and mending again. And I thought David O. Russell, who also did The Fighter a couple years back, does a really good job with the material. It's based on a book that was done about 4 or 5 years ago. It's the guy's debut novel, same name. He sort of did the screenplay for it, and I think he also got nominated for it. I think out of if there was a sort of an ensemble award for the Oscars, this movie definitely deserves it. Everybody just plays so well with each other, and just like you name all these people off, and of course Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro have done stuff together before, but never in this manner before. So I really liked it. It's a very strong family movie. It's very funny. It's very sad. It's very scary at times too. And it probably has the best use of a Stevie Wonder song I've ever seen in a movie.
Interesting.
So, Andy, you have to see this movie.
All right, I'll see it.
If you will regret not seeing this movie.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. So, but I do agree with you that the trailer for it is awful.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it's baffling because I saw the trailer and then I heard like, oh, this is the movie everyone's talking about, and I'm like, what is happening? Am I in Bizarro land?
I remember seeing the trailer and kind of checking out about a minute into it, thinking this is another one of those, rom-com of the week kind of thing. And then at the end, it said something like directed by David O. Russell, and I thought, David O. Russell, director of Three Kings and Flirting with Disaster, which I think are really funny, dark comedies, not the kind of Silver Linings Playbook image that I had. So
but I really, really enjoyed it. So. Danny Elfman also did the music. Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of major players involved in this movie, so it only kind of makes sense for it to be doing well. But it earns it. It earns it wholeheartedly. Okay. It's probably, out of all of the sort of nominated films of late, it might be my favorite.
Okay.
It might be. I'm having a hard time thinking of anything else that's been nominated that I'm sort of over the moon about more than probably this movie. Just based on sort of the overall satisfaction I got out of watching it, and honestly going in not knowing a whole lot, because if you've seen the trailer, you probably don't even know much either. Yeah, probably actually know less.
So maybe it's brilliant marketing.
It might be
like you're going to see this movie anyway. It's going to get nominated for stuff. Just don't give anything away.
Yeah, it's been out for a couple weeks here in Bloomington, and since it got nominated, it obviously has legs. So definitely check it out before the Oscars, because it's just well deserving of it. If I can actually get that out.
A Place for Film is recorded at WFIU Studios in Bloomington, Indiana.